Well, folks, call today the day of really weird stories surrounding Nintendo because one, it appears Nintendo has been hacked again. Is this potentially GigaLeak 2.0? We'll talk about that. Beyond all of that, Nintendo is also back to going after YouTubers for covering their stuff. And man, this affects my ability to do things here. It affects all of us content creators' ability to do things. We remember an era when this was actually normal. Hopefully we're not going back to that era, and some other stuff going on as well. Again, these stories today, I don't want to say they're negative. They're just weird. We just have nothing but weird stories for you today. That said, hey, I want to remind you, we got a couple giveaways going on. Our first one is for 3 copies of Age of Imprisonment. Our second one is for 5 copies of Kirby Air Riders. You can enter through the link down in the pinned comment or the description. And I know some people are waiting for me to finish announcing the winners for, I say finish, you guys just don't know what's going on behind the scenes. I've had to redraw the winners like 4 times now. We have 1 claim out of our 3 copies of Mario Galaxy 1 and 2 that we gave away. So I keep drawing new winners, and I keep trying to get people who actually win. So again, once we have that all confirmed, look, the one person who already confirmed it, they literally already were sent their copies. So waiting for people to actually get drawn and confirm. Well, let's just say it's going to be a very expensive end of the month here for me this October, because we're going to have the 7 or the 8 copies or whatever I just announced. And then I still got to take care of the Mario ones, which were already supposed to be taken. Whatever. This is what we do. All for you guys. Let's get back to the gamer over here. The Gamer, what? Yeah, the Gamer website, because hacked, right? It says hacking group claims to have breached Nintendo. So, hacking group Crimson Collective claims to have breached Nintendo's topic files, attaching a screenshot of several folders as proof. Among them are production assets, dev previews, and backups. There's little information right now on how extensive the hack is or what Crimson Collective intends to do with the data that it has allegedly obtained, but we can look to recent attack on Red Hat for a rough idea. Only earlier this month, it breached the software company private GitHub repositories, alleging to have stolen 570 gigabytes of data, including authentication credentials for clients. Crimson Collective claims that it has reached out to Red Hat through official channels to make extortion demands, likewise proving the breach with screenshots of internal folders, but was ultimately ignored. On October 2nd, the company acknowledged the breach, stating that it had contacted the appropriate authorities. It's possible that, behind the scenes, Crimson Collective is attempting to make similar demands with Nintendo. And here's the proof. Now, what's interesting here when you look at this is you're seeing, Nintendo topics, infra, test assets, test preview, local, mail assets, dev admin, dev assets. Look, they might have been able to get some login credentials here. Doesn't look like there's too much personal data, but there's a reason there doesn't appear to be a lot of personal data like we had in the very first GigaLeak like 5 years ago. And that is because of something that Luigi Blood goes ahead and points out over on Blue Sky. There's news that Nintendo got hacked, but since people don't know what they're talking about, people get hyped for a GigaLeak 2 when all they got is just basically the repositories for what manages the Japanese topic news pages. These repositories are on for their website, right? So there's no evidence of anything else. If somehow they got more, and I could tell from public screenshots that they actually got sensible shit, then I'll retract what I said. So look, this is what's pretty interesting here is that it seems like they really only got access to a part of Nintendo's website that handles the news section. Now, Nintendo could have several unpublished news articles. Like they could have, they drop little news articles on their website every time they announce a new game and all that. So it is possible there could be some game leaks in here with future announcements possibly being on the back end of the website already. But we obviously have no idea if that's going to get out there. What does seem to be clear is, at least based on what they presented publicly so far, this does not appear to be like a GigaLeak 2 situation. But if they got access to the whole website, if they got access to the dev admin back, there's a whole bunch of stuff we don't know. But for right now, based on what they posted publicly, I don't know that they have a whole lot here to really hold Nintendo for ransom for, that Nintendo's ultimately going to care that much about. That said, again, there could be some hidden game announcements in there. We'll have to wait and see. This does not appear to be a GigaLeak 2 situation, but that doesn't mean there can't be something that comes out of it. Either way, obviously the hacker group is doing this for money. That sucks. No one wants to be extorted. No one wants to deal with this kind of crap in general. Now, we got to get to our next, again, I told you, weird stories. Like, Nintendo got hacked there, but also it might not really mean a whole lot, so who cares? Well, how about this? Nintendo Switch choose one of the best inventions of 2025. Like, I had to say that out loud. By the way, so is the ROG Ally X. Apparently, these two handheld devices, which are sequel systems to things that already existed, are somehow some of the best inventions of 2025. So either 2025 has just had a massive lack of inventions, or this entire list just gets devalued because it's according to Time magazine. Switch 2, blockbuster gaming console. I mean, they even had to like invent an image to try to like make Switch 2 look like a real invention when it's not. So the original Switch rewrote the rules of portable gaming in 2025. Sequel increases the power without sacrificing portability. Yeah, this is dumb. And you can see like actual ones. You're like a household robot. Yeah, I don't know if that deserves to be on there compared to robots, but maybe the robot has actually had major advancements made. You're seeing a UV printer. Cool. You're seeing a Hover Air X1 Pro Max. I don't know enough about the drone scene to know if there's any major advancements there. But what I am saying is that having the Nintendo Switch 2, and yes, if you keep scrolling, the ROG Ally X as some of the best inventions on a best inventions list by Time magazine, it kind of just devalues the whole process. There's a chance here that companies might actually be paying money to appear on the list. We don't know that 100%. That's been thrown out there. Again, it's just such a weird thing to talk about, being on a best invention list by Time magazine, which is a pretty respected outlet, but man, it kind of devalues everything. I don't know what's going on. All right. And I don't know what's going on with this next story. Now, we have the full details and everything that happened in the aftermath, but Nintendo is now back to copyright striking channels and taking down videos. They used to do this back during the Wii U era and even early into the Switch era. I know this because I was making scant videos during the Wii U era, but definitely in the first couple of years of Switch. And look, Nintendo, you couldn't use video game trailers. We couldn't use clips from anything Nintendo put out, like Pikmin shorts. You couldn't use clips from that. Hell, even sometimes when you're using still images, Nintendo would sometimes still come after you, let alone forget using Nintendo's music. That would always get you dinged. But Nintendo slowly over time fixed this problem, first by trying to introduce a program where select games we were allowed to use footage from in our videos, but other games we couldn't. That program was garbage. And then eventually Nintendo conceded and said, you know what? It's actually probably best for our company if everyone can use our trailers, everyone can use our gameplay footage in their videos. We just don't care. We don't want straight uploads of our music, but you can use our music as backgrounds or introductions on live streams. Like, they really backed off and opened up quite a bit, outside of just raw hosting all their music, which, look, they have the Nintendo Music app now, so you can understand why they maybe don't want that. Well, Nintendo kind of did a reverse thing, and I somehow avoided getting dinged, but there were many other much bigger channels than me getting dinged by Nintendo. Nintendo has revealed Nintendo Pictures is behind the recent Close to You Pikmin shorts, and they did it right after blocking YouTube videos about them. That included a couple of videos and a short by Game Explain, and there were obviously others out there. Now, the update here says after filing disputes, Nintendo themselves did release the claims on their videos. We encourage any other affected YouTubers to attempt disputing as well. You believe your videos fall under fair use. Now, obviously, anyone who just did a straight re-upload, yeah, you're probably not covered, but anyone who was like covering it as a news channel, talking about things, freedom of press, it was always obviously fair use. But the problem is that Nintendo started dinging for it in the first place. Nintendo hasn't done this kind of behavior in 7-8 years. So seeing this behavior come back, this sucks. And you have to start worrying if we're going to start getting dinged a lot more as we cover things about Nintendo Pictures, Nintendo movies, and all this stuff. We already knew with the movies, we always had to be careful because of Universal, but now having to be careful with anything made by Nintendo's Pictures. Now, granted, Nintendo released it. That's the good news. But the fact that you even have to deal with that, because what if it happens, the wrong person looks at it, doesn't release it, suddenly you have a strike on your channel. Let's say you made a short about it, you made a video about it, that could be 2 strikes, let alone if you did a live stream about it. Podcast, that could be 3 strikes and your channel is deleted. That's the scary thing here, is if your disputes don't get approved manually by Nintendo, that could be it. They could have had 2 strikes. They get dinged for one more thing in the next 3 months. Not only do they lose the 2 strikes, they lose their ability to live stream, they'll lose their ability to have a channel at all if another strike happened in 3 months, if Nintendo didn't release this stuff. So I want to sit back and just ask Nintendo, and I get that there's probably some automated processes, like Nintendo probably uses companies that have automated AI processes to copyright claim videos. I think that's in general how most people do it. I know I don't use any, but I do have the ability via my MCN to use an automated process to copyright people that are using my footage. And there are channels out there that just straight re-upload my videos. It is what it is. I just don't care. Their videos are getting like 10 views. Ain't really worth my time. But yeah, if anyone starts blowing up with my content, even if they're posting it in a foreign language, yeah, there's going to be a problem, right? We're gonna have to deal with that. But the point is that I don't like using these automated systems because I know how many false flags they get. Like if someone's just taking a clip and making a video about me, you can use clips. Like that's completely within fair use. I have no issue with that, even if they're saying negative things about me. Really don't care. So as I said, this is just like a collection of really weird, wonky stories that kind of have happy endings, but maybe not. This is one of the weirdest videos I think I've ever had to make covering news, but this is all news. Some of it affects me. Some of it affects you. Some of it is just Nintendo being weird. And some of it's happening to Nintendo. Man, whatever. I got to go. It's halftime of the Packers game. I got to get back to watching it. Plus, I got to make dinner. And I got to deal with all this other stuff out there. Also, had to put the Brewers hat on because FTC, baby. If you don't know what that means, it's not federal. It's not Federal Trade Commission. It's a thing us Wisconsinites say about pretty much anything dealing with our teams versus teams from Chicago. All right, guys. Thank you so much for being here. We'll see you in the next video.